Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar today, this afternoon, looking at everyone can create drawing. So I'm really glad that you could join us today for our Greenwich Apple Regional Training Centre session. So just a little bit of an outline of what's going to be happening. I think a couple more people are joining us now. We've got a bit of sharing and reflection. We're looking at some drawing tasks, and then there's a bit of homework for you to try before the next session, if that's what you're able to join us with. So let me just introduce ourselves. Now, it's normally me joined by my team, but today is parents' evening. So I don't have a class, so I'm not busy doing that. Instead, it's just me. So you've just got me, Director of Digital Learning here at Heronsgate Primary School with the session today. We are the Greenwich Apple Regional Training Centre. We're based at Heronsgate Primary School, and you can follow us on the Twitter there, RTC Greenwich, for updates and information about upcoming courses. The aim of Apple Regional Training Centres is to deliver courses to build the skills and confidence of educators using Apple technology inside and outside the classroom. We are a community who share best practice and inspire excellence through teaching with Apple technology, and it's really great that you're able to join us today. So I think here we go, a little bit of a bug there. So we had a session last month looking at the first book in this series, Everyone Can Create Photo, and we left people with a few classroom tasks that they could have a go at. So if you were in the last session, maybe you've had a go, but I thought I would share some of the things that myself and a teacher here at Heronsgate had a little go at. We are using a Shobi group to share resources with. So if you're interested, you can join this. I'm just going to post this little link into Shobi into the chat. So there's an app we use at school called Shobi that is, we use it as a learning platform, but it's got some great little resources that you can make use of. And we can use it as a way of just sharing information together. So if you are interested, if you just follow this link in the chat, if you already have a Shobi account, just join in, just sign in. But if not, you can set up a teacher account for free. And then it will make you join a group which we can share information on. So if I would just show you that now, so I'm going on my iPad to my home screen, I open up the Shobi app. It works on the web as well, so you don't necessarily have to have Shobi or in fact be using an iPad for this. So here we go, here's Shobi, and here is our little group that I've been sharing some things from last session all about photos. So this is the first one. This is my little photo collage. So I went around school trying to find things that look like the letters in my name. So we've got a bit of a gate, a fire door, and a bit of the kind of cladding around the school. And now I used Keynote to put it all together. You've got a nice little collage of photos there. Then here we've got another photo challenge. This one was to use Instant Alpha. So you can take a photo of an object, and then in Keynote, you can cut out the background. And then I just had to go at arranging that, little insight into the things you might find on my desk. And then last of all, my colleague, Mr. Barnshaw, had some fun with another one of the photo collages where you take a photo and then you can replace different elements. And here he has slightly creepily replaced the head of the teddy bear with a slightly scary looking bird there. But again, all the interesting things you can do. So that's just a bit of a recap on what we looked at last week. So today, if you had a chance to do any of the photo activities from last time, do post any messages you like into either the chat or into the Shobi group, and we can have a look at them. But today, just a recap, if you weren't here last time, we are in a 5-part series looking at Everyone Can Create. Now, Everyone Can Create is a set of resources that Apple has put together. We've got 4 basically books on the Apple Bookstore on iPad or on the Mac, looking at the different disciplines of photography, drawing, music, and video. And then there's an accompanying teacher guide and a teacher guide for early learners. So there are these 6 books here. The book we are looking at today is to do with drawing. So I'm just going to post a link to that into the chat. And if you are on an iPad or a Mac, it should open it up in the Apple Books store, and you can then download it for free. So it's a free book, but you have to be on an Apple device to use it. So the photo book looks at ways to improve your skills in taking photos in a creative way. The drawing book, we're going to look at today. Again, how to use drawing in loads of different ways. So it's teaching you some of those drawing skills and then ways that can be applied in the classroom. Again, we've got video here. So video is great for telling stories and really engaging learners, and music. So that's to do with how to use sound in creative ways. And then the accompanying teacher guides are really good because they include all of the tasks that are there, but then there are integration ideas. For example, science scrapbook. So you've got different subject areas along the top, and then ways that you could use the different activities to embed them in your classroom. For example, the ecosystem collage, create a photo collage that shows the relationship between plants and animals in local ecosystems. So there you would use those skills we learned last time in photography and how to use Keynote to combine them together. And then you could do that as part of that learning activity. Or here's another example, perhaps in coding, making an infographic that shows the demand for coding is changing over time. So you could use the skills that you might learn that way. Then you've got the early learners guide, which has lots of different activities. So it has the same kind of activities, but more targeted towards children in nursery reception, perhaps year 1. And then there are some suggestions of how those could be integrated into the classroom as well. So there's just a treasure trove of ideas that you can make use of. The whole point of this is to encourage students to be part of that creative process, because it helps engage them in the classroom, and it's also raising the impact of the arts as well in the classroom. If you received an email from us before this session today, there was a little creativity workbook that you can open and use to just make notes on if you find that useful. So we're going to begin now looking at drawing. Now, in the book about drawing, it suggests us use an app called Sketches School, which is a free drawing app. But if you're on an iPad that doesn't even have that installed, you can do a lot of the drawing just using the Notes app. I bet you didn't know that. So in the Notes app, well, we'll look at that in a second. So drawing is a skill that helps develop observational skills, visualization, and individual expression. So learning how to really look and see and pay attention, all really important and helps in that learning process. So we're going to have a look at this Everyone Can Create drawing book. And we're going to have a look at the second chapter, which looks at doodle art. So why don't I open up that book for us now? So here I go. So I go to the Books app on my iPad. I've in fact got the Photos book open. So I'm going to go back here. I have downloaded all of the Everyone Create books on here. So you can see here they are. And we've got here, Everyone Can Create Drawing. So I'm going to tap on that. Here we go. And we've got an introduction. I can keep going, an overview. Then the first chapter looks at word art. This is great fun, learning how to draw emojis and things like that. But we're going to have a look at doodle art. So doodle art is using your sketching skills in a creative way to communicate ideas and investigate different characters. So the first suggestion is here how you can use shapes to doodle ideas. So you could draw some simple 2D shapes, like a circle, triangle, square, etc. You can then you combine those shapes to create different creatures. So here we've got a cow, or horse, or a rhinoceros, created just from some oblongs, some interesting irregular rectangles, and other things like that. You work your way through and you can create some of those, or in fact some people, showing a bit of action there. And if you want, you could have a try at drawing abstract ideas using doodles to kind of represent that, what these symbols might show. So I think that's what I needed to show you. Let's go back to my slides. Before I do that, let me just highlight a little bit about how the Notes app works. So when you're in a note, you can just tap on the little pencil button and then it brings up the little bar along the bottom here. And you've got a range of different tools. If I start from the left and work our way along, you've got the scribble tool. Now this is used if you have an Apple Pencil or some other stylus. You can write. So if you wrote words, it would then turn it into text. It's great fun. Maybe I'll show you that in a sec. Then you've got a pen tool, just kind of a thick felt tip pen. If you tap on it twice, you get the ability to change the thickness. There is a highlighter tool, so that's slightly more see-through, good for highlighting things. A pencil, a bit more of a grainy texture to it. You've got an eraser, which I think if you tap on it again, you can have an object eraser, so it will erase whole areas. Then there's a lasso tool, which is really useful because you can select areas, and there's a ruler that you can use to draw beautifully straight lines. And then of course the color picker, so you can choose the colors that you want. So let's have a look at task 1. So we're going to draw some objects using simple lines and shapes. So this is where I now open up the Notes app. So this is me having already practiced. I've given away what I'm going to do, but I've got my Notes app here. And if I press the button here, I make it full size. Then I can get rid of my keyboard, and now I can start doing some drawing by tapping on the little pen tool, the little markup tool, and there you can see all of my wonderful tools. Now, I'm just going to check that you, so if you can see me in the corner here, I have a Logitech pencil, Logitech crayon. I'm going to turn on the camera so you can really see what I'm doing. Here we go. So hello, this is me. So you can see this is the stylus I'm going to be using. These are from Logitech. They are they're more affordable in education. They are nicely not round, so they won't roll off the desk. You have to turn them on to use them rather than the Apple Pencil that just kind of works. But they can be used on multiple iPads at once and don't have to be paired, which is rather useful. So let's have a go at that. So I've got, let me check it's turned it on. Here we go. Yeah, so I've got my stylus on. Let's have a go. Is it going to draw? There we go. Phew, it's working. So I'm going to draw some of those hilarious animals. Maybe we'll start with a cow. So I choose my pen tool. That's a good thickness. And I want to, let's start with a black. Here we go. So I'm just going to draw a nice oblong. And maybe here is a rectangle for the head. And then some horns and a few legs. Here we go. And maybe even a small udder, little tail, and maybe here is a black spot on the back of this cow, and then shadow underneath. And there we have a lovely cow. Or I could try that again, maybe with the horse. So the same kind of idea. I can just draw my rectangle. I am not an amazing drawer. The horse has a longer head, so that little rectangle will be a bit longer. And there we go. Different kind of ears. And he's got a bit of a mane going on there, lovely, a bit more of a tail, and perhaps longer legs than the other guy. And here is my animal. Straight away, what impressive drawing skills I have. Or I could try something like just a little stick person. And stick people, very easy to do. But as soon as you're doing that, you can then think about how you could make them look a bit more interesting. Perhaps they could be holding something. Maybe this guy's going to do a bit of running. If we add a bit more movement to his legs, perhaps some little marks showing that he's moving along. Lovely. Or maybe you could even draw some vehicles. So I'm going to have a little car here. Let's draw some wheels. Lovely. So these are just simple doodles, but if you kind of think, well, what shapes make up what you're trying to draw? And maybe it's got a big cloud of smoke coming out the back. Maybe we'll make it red. Just going to quickly, let's do a bit of colouring here. Look at that, lovely. Wonderful. So that's me just practicing a few of my little drawing skills. Now, when I'm done, I can share that to my Shobi group. So I tap on the 3 dots and I'm going to send a copy. And then I tap on Shobi. I can pop it into my group and see what happens when I post that in there. I'm actually slightly wondering what will happen when I post that in there. But there you can see, that's not really quite what I was expecting. Well, I'll have a little play about getting that working. But in the meantime, if you have an iPad on you, please do spend the next 3 minutes having a go at that activity. So it's just have a go, open the Notes app. If you've got a stylus, you can use that, or you can just use your finger. See what you can draw. Right, so you've had your 3 minutes, have a little play at that. I've also now figured out how I can get my little note from here to show me. So I tap send a copy, and it should allow me to save image. Now, maybe that's the easiest thing. If I tap, no, I'm pressing the wrong button here. If I tap save image, what that does is it saves my beautiful drawings into the Photos app. There we go. And then I can use that in to my show me group. Here we go. Let me upload from my photo library. Here we go. Wonderful. Fantastic. Okay, so that's just uploading into this little show me group some more of these things we're working on. So back to Keynote. So the second task we're going to have a little go at today is using drawing and sketching to plan and organize your thinking. So here, chapter 2, activity 3 from the Everyone Can Create Drawing Guide, drawing objects using simple lines and shapes to summarize your thoughts or tell a story. So let's have a look at that. So I'm going to go to activity 3, which is planning and organizing your thinking. So sketchnoting is a way to take visual notes while watching, listening, or thinking about a topic. So this is one example of a layout here. So you've got, maybe you're going on holiday to Hawaii, or perhaps it's a mind map around Hawaii. Here's some other ideas of ways of organizing your thinking. Maybe it's some kind of flowchart, systems, or how things connect together. So those can be really useful. So one suggestion is, can you sketch note the process of making a cup of tea? So I'm going to have a go at that. I'm going to open up my notes app again. I'm going to make a new note. Here we go. Press on the drawing tool, and I'm going to have another go. What would be the process of making tea? So let's just turn on my little stylus here. Making, oh, I don't want it to be red. Making tea. That looks shocking. Sorry, everybody. I need to leave a bit more space at the top. Here we go. Right, so the first thing, we need our kettle. So we're going to fill our kettle up from the water. Here we go. Here's my tap. Very simple kind of design. Maybe I'll use blue for some water coming out of that tap. Lovely, look at that. And then here is my very simple kettle design here. Here we go. So we're going to put that, and we can see that it's got some water being filled up in there. Lovely, look at that. Then I'm going to use a little arrow to show how my ideas connect. Here we go, a little arrow between them. And the next one is we've got to turn this little kettle on so we can boil. So we're going to draw my kettle again. Hopefully I'm going to get a little bit better each time. I'm not quite sure myself. This time it's got lots of water in. And to show the kind of the glowing button, I'm just going to, maybe I can write the word click to show what we've got to do. Then we're going to boil the kettle. Maybe I'll draw the kettle one more time. Another little arrow here to show all the steam coming out of the top. Lovely. Next, I'm just going to scroll. Hello. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. So I'm using 2 fingers to scroll down. If I use 1 finger, it's going to do a bit of drawing. Then I'm going to have my lovely mug here, which is also quite similar in design. Maybe that's not. And here's my tea bag. And I'm just going to illustrate that the tea bag has to go into the mug. And then we're going to add the pouring water. So let's make my kettle pouring. Here we go. So it's really helpful as you draw to be thinking about how you're trying to communicate it, because the skills of drawing are completely different from anything else. So let's pour out my water. Maybe there's going to be a bit of steam as well. And then we're going to show here that you've got to wait 3 minutes. So maybe we'll just write 3 minutes. Draw another mug. Lovely jubbly. And then let's show that we're going to take that tea bag out. And then we're going to add a bit of milk. So why don't we have a nice bottle of milk. I'm just going to write the word milk here. Here we go. So it's super clear. And then maybe I'll do a little green lid. Maybe it's some semi-skimmed. So I'm not saying that I'm the most amazing drawer, but the process of kind of thinking through the steps there, how you're going to communicate that, definitely skills that are worth developing. Lovely. Okay, let me show you again how I share that. I tap the 3 dots. I'm going to try sending a copy, and then I'm going to just save that image. I go to Shobi, and then I'm going to just add it in there for my photo library. Boom, lovely jubbly. Okay, let's just add that in there. It's just going to upload. So you've got another opportunity to give this a go. So using those simple lines and shapes, see if you can summarize your thoughts or tell a little story. And if you're feeling particularly brave, why not upload what you draw to our Shobi group, and then we can all have a look. So you've got another 3 minutes to have a little go at that. Off you go. Wonderful. So hopefully you had a little chance to just try out some of those drawing tools. And if you're feeling brave and want to join that Shobi group, you can share some of your masterpieces there. Okay, so why does it matter? Why bother adding drawing into the classroom when kids can just draw with pencil and paper, or maybe they can just type with their iPads? Why does it matter? So doodle drawing can help students think about information more visually and conceptually, enable them to remember more concepts. So I know that if I'm trying to listen to something, I will often sketch note as a way to really think about what I'm listening to and try and take it on board. And with doodle art, students can communicate thoughts and ideas while demonstrating understanding in an artistic and clever way. So the act of having to communicate and explain the ideas you're learning helps take that learning deeper, and drawing is just another way that can be done. And I think drawing is always engaging for students, and to be able to do this using drawing skills on an iPad is definitely a plus. So if you are interested and want to give this a go in your classroom, do take a look at Chapter 2 and Chapter 9 from the Everyone Can Create Drawing Guide to see if you can try out some of those things in the class. And if you want to, join us next time and you can share back what you have learned. So we can have a little look at that now. So Chapter 2 and 9. So we've been looking at Chapter 2 already, but Chapter 9 is all about infographics. So let's have a look at that. So when you're in the Books app, if you just kind of pinch, you can then easily move 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, sorry, motion graphics. It did mean infographics. Let's have a look. What did I say here? Yeah, okay. The chapters have clearly moved since. So we go back to infographics. So this could be really nice. Infographics where you've got the ability to combine different images, colors, and shapes to tell a visual data story. So you've got data, so things that you found out, facts that are true, but it's how to put it together in a way that really clearly communicates it or raises awareness for an issue. So the Industrial Revolution. So you've got the facts of the years and what they happened, but you're trying to draw graphics to kind of communicate that in other ways. Or this is just showing the life cycle of a frog. You could have done that by just writing it on a piece of paper, but here you've got drawings of what that creature looks like in its different stages, and that just communicates it more enticingly. Land masses of Earth's continents, so it's just showing that in different ways. Which light bulb is best? So you can use drawing to create these infographics. So first of all, you've got to gather your information. Then you've got to think about what sort of data story you want to tell. Then think about the images that you could draw to go along with what you're doing. So that kind of involves a bit of planning, thinking about your branding and lettering you might use, and then you've got to put it all together to create that infographic. So in some ways, it may not necessarily actually involve physical drawing, but rather just using the different apps that are available on an iPad to put that all together. So you could use that to create an infographic that might be of interest. So that's something you could have a go before the next session. So I just want to talk through a few ideas from the Everyone Can Create teacher guide. This again is a treasure trove of ideas. So let's go to page 9. Here we go. So the Everyone Can Create teacher guide. We're on page 23. That's no good. So we're going to do drawing. And here there are lots of ideas of how you might use them. So if we look at, for example, the doodle art. Here we are. You can, it's talking through the activities that they had, and there's the project that you could sketch note about a simple idea. But then what's really nice, they have these integration ideas. So for example, let's have a look at literacy and literature. So language learning, practice language skills by sketchnoting. So you could do sketches that help build understanding of words used across multiple languages. So there's just a really nice way of basically illustrating that language can help learn that. Maybe looking at a history timeline. So as you watch the documentary, you could sketch note the timeline of the key events that are happening and then perhaps put that together later. Maybe looking at science, so prototyping, definitely sketching is really useful to sketch those ideas as you go through the different stages of prototyping and making something. And then, here we go. There's also the Everyone Can Create teacher guide for early learners. Lots of things on that. So if I just open up that book again, just so you can see how these work. So the teacher guide for early learners, this goes through the 4 different disciplines: drawing, photography, video, music, and then comes up with slightly different activities that are in the main book. So you've got here, these are integration ideas. So the way the book works is it basically goes through ways of drawing, so different drawing activities. So here it suggests things like patterns, things, peoples, places. That's quite very much more accessible and approachable for younger learners. And then at the end of the book, we then have these integration ideas of how you could use drawing. So for example, abstract art using geometric shapes in maths. So there, the activities are about drawing patterns and shapes and how that might really apply in maths. Or when you're drawing things, you could do a shape hunt. So you could go and draw the different shapes that you see around, or exploring how the letters turn into a picture of something that starts with that letter. Really fun activity, but helping draw those connections for those young learners. Lots of great resources on there. Right, so if you've been using the workbook, please do take a chance to reflect on the task that you've done. And our next session will be looking at video, and that's happening on the 11th of November, same time, same place. Do sign up if you'd like to just explore some of those resources further. We'll also be posting the recording of this onto YouTube, so you can watch it back again at another time. But thank you for joining us today. Do download those books and take a look at them further. If you've made something you'd love to share, do join that little Showbie group and you can post some things in there. And we're going to be looking at video in a month's time, and we'll also be sharing some of the things that we've been exploring here as well. So thank you very much for joining us today, and hope to see you in a future session. So thank you very much.